Hey everyone, if you're new around here, I am Dee. Welcome to Dee's Roads. I've been car camping in my Hyundai Santa Fe Sangria for the last 2.5 years on a part-time basis. And tonight, I am coming at you from a lovely park and ride somewhere on the East Coast. I have some fun adventures scheduled for tomorrow, but for tonight, I figured I'd take this opportunity, since I am at a park and ride, to update my list of free campsites and how you can find free campsites in 2024. So in some regions of the United States, it's getting harder and harder to find free campsites. That is especially true if you're trying to find car camping spots on the East Coast for free. So to help out, I have compiled a list of 9 apps or websites to make it easier for you to find a place to car camp for free. And not only free, but hopefully you can find locations that are safe and that you feel comfortable at, where you can lay your head down and get a nice, peaceful, nice night's sleep. So the first addition to my list is a website that's called RV Parky, and I'll put it down here so you know the correct spelling of the app RV Parky. And basically it's a free app where you can go and you can put in the location where you're going or where you're trying to find your free camping sites, and it will pop up and show you spots that could be free. It'll show you spots maybe like Walmart or like Flying J, like Pilots Loves, places where you can park for free, but it also shows you different campgrounds as well. The next one I found was a surprise to me, and it's called Spot Angels. And this one is more for stealth city car camping. I found it to be more useful in cities. So I would search places like Philadelphia, Washington, D.C., New York City, places like that, big cities where there are tons of parking, but a lot of times during the day, that parking either is not available because maybe it's a loading zone during the day, or maybe it's not free during the day and you have to pay. But at night, like after 8 o'clock, some places are like 8 o'clock at night till 6 o'clock in the morning, or 8 o'clock at night till 8 o'clock in the morning. A lot of city street parking is available during those times for free. Now, if you choose to do this and you choose to use Spot Angels, I would highly recommend at least driving by that spot during the day when there's still some daylight left. That way you get a chance to see what it's like in that area, what's going on in that area, and to really figure out, is that somewhere where you would feel safe and that you would actually get a peaceful night's sleep. And if you can't do that, I would say at the very least, take a look on Google Maps and zoom down into Street View to see, if that looks like a place where you'd be comfortable sleeping. And speaking about that, I usually tend to have 3 different locations. So if I'm not going to a campground or something that is considered a campground, like down in South Carolina, the Santee Coastal Reserve is free in South Carolina. There are a few camping spots down there that are for free. It is considered a campground in that type of situation where like you can go on Campendium and a lot of different websites and see that that is a safe location. I wouldn't necessarily worry about doing a Google Maps for that type of thing to get the street view, but I would definitely say if you're finding a random parking spot in a city using Spot Angels on the street, go ahead and check it out before you go. And third on my list is freecampsites.net. It has an older interface. I've mentioned this before on another video. It has an older interface. It's a website. It looks a little bit outdated, but it's actually a really great, reliable site to use when you're trying to find free camping. And like I said, depending on where you are in the country, it might be hard to find free camping. So there are some spots where you might only find places like Walmart's, Cracker Barrels, things like that for free overnight stays. I wouldn't necessarily stay in those locations more than 1 or 2 nights, unless you get it approved by the owner of those spots. Number 4 is Campendium. And I highly recommend using the website if you don't have a Road Pass or Campendium membership. because on the website for Campendium, you can locate free campsites. If you're using the app, you would have to pay for that, from my experience. Maybe I could be using it wrong, but from my experience, you have to have a membership to be able to find the free spots, especially public lands, using the Campendium app. But if you're able to go online, those spots are listed for you for free without a membership. The fifth one that has never let me down is iOverlander. I know a lot of folks use this. Very similar to Campendium, very similar to freecampsites.net. You put in where you're going and it'll give you a list of places where you can sleep the night for free. And keep in mind with these locations that you're seeing, especially if you're on the East Coast, where you're not getting a lot of free campsites in the way of BLM land or any type of federal or state forest. You know, you may have to overnight at a truck stop or a rest stop or a park and ride like I'm at tonight. And then just enjoy the scenery, enjoy your travels during the day, out sightseeing and, you know, doing those fun things in nature. And then at night, you just go back to your Cracker Barrel or your Walmart or your rest stop. But hey, it's still free. My sixth option is Explore USFS. So that's the United States Forest Service. With this one, I would definitely say plan ahead. There are a lot of times where you can find free roadside campsites. You just have to take a look at the maps for that particular forest service. And the same goes for state forests. You really just have to look at the maps to see where there may be some roadside camping or, you know, boondock camping where you still have access to bring your vehicle. And a lot of times those maps will let you know, is the road going to be treacherous? Is it maintained? Are you going to need a 4x4 or is a regular 2-wheel drive just fine? Now, here on the East Coast, there are quite a few states that have stopped allowing people to camp for free in the forest unless it's primitive and it's like a hike-in site. So keep that in mind. One example is, I think it's Tioga State Forest in Pennsylvania. It used to be free, but recently, over the last couple of years, now it is $10 per night. So with this, you just have to be careful and take a look at each individual forest service, whether it's state or federal, to see if that land really is free to camp on. And then if it's not, how to go about getting a permit or a pass, and paying your little fee to go ahead and camp on that land. Now, one good example where it is still free, and I hope it stays that way, is in New York State. A lot of the state forest in New York State is still free. And you can find a lot of primitive sites where you can pull your vehicle up and do your car camping at those sites for free. Sometimes you just need to get a free permit if you're going to be there for a certain amount of time, depending on which forest you go to. Now, again, a lot of this video is geared towards the East Coast because it is a little bit more difficult to find free campsites here on the East Coast than it is out west, where you have a lot of BLM land. Number 7 is the National Park Service. Sometimes you can find, again, roadside campsites for free. And usually those are located on service roads. So you just have to do your due diligence to make sure that those roads are accessible and open for the season. Number 8 is U.S. Fish and Wildlife Services. And I think that's also referred to as USFWS. But you can check out their facilities to see what areas you can find free camping. Number 9, my last on the list for free ways that you can find campsites, the USGS. You can go to that website and then check out the public access area maps. And by the way, all of these websites are going to be listed in the description of this video, and I'll probably pin a comment at the top with all of this information, links to all of this information that I'm sharing today. So the next websites that I want to share with you are websites that will help you find camping, usually at decent prices. But these are not free campsites, okay? So the first one on my lip is What? First on my list is HipCamp. So with HipCamp, you do create a login, which is free. You don't have to pay any membership fees. You just create a login, and you basically type in the location where you're going. And there are a bunch of private landowners that are offering up their land for folks to come and camp. And you can find some really cool spots that are a lot of times very secluded and very private. There are some situations where you might be there's only one campsite that they actually rent out to per night. And it could be as low as $9. It could be as high as $23 and more. Just depends on where you're actually going. But I've used HipCamp a few times, and I really love using them because, like I said, you can find campsites that are more secluded. They're not packed. Sometimes there are amenities like electricity and water. Sometimes there's not. So you just have to put in, like, just keep in mind what you actually want to experience while you're there. If you do need electricity or water, things like that. With HipCamp, there are also no vehicle restrictions. So, you can have a Hyundai Santa Fe pull up and do your car camping out of your SUV, your minivan, your car, your truck. Also, a lot of times it's fine to bring a tent and you can just tent camp. So that's another thing that I really love about HipCamp. There are no restrictions based on your vehicle. My last one here is going to be KOA. Yes, I still have that on my list. I am a KOA rewards member. That means that I get one night per year for free. Usually it's the first Saturday in September. So you stay Friday night, you get Saturday night for free. The membership is still $36 per year. And that one night free that you get per year pays for your annual membership. Plus they have, when you become a rewards member, you get 10% off each night. Anytime you book a stay there. I really enjoy their campsites. In my experience, the KOAs that I've gone to, I love their tent sites. Especially there's one near Richmond, Virginia, near an amusement park called King's Dominion. And I think King's Dominion actually now owns that KOA. But there are some tent sites at that particular KOA that are kind of like set off in the back, and you have plenty of space. Your neighbors aren't right up on you, so I love going there. Another KOA that I absolutely love is in Savannah. It's the Richmond Hill area of Georgia, and that one, people are always nice. Restrooms are always clean. I think KOAs are great, if you have kids with you, if you have family with you, because they have the playgrounds. A lot of times they have like barrel rides or hay rides. They have kids craft activities, kids games. They have pools. So just really fun times, especially if you're taking a family, or heck, if you have a group of friends and you want some amenities. Who doesn't like a good swim in a pool from time to time? I know I do. Now, if you're like, hey D, maybe I don't want to always check an app or a website before I plan my trip, that's fine too. You can find industrial areas in the places that you're going to where you could sleep. I see a lot of van lifers do that. It's not something that I've ever done just because I haven't found one where I feel safe at. Most of the time I'm traveling just by myself when I'm finding those types of spots. And to me, I haven't reached that comfort level there with those types of things. But it is an option. Just make sure there's no parking signs or no overnighting signs. Rest areas, park and rides, like where I'm at right now. A lot of folks recommend casinos. Some people say fairgrounds are places to go as well. Those are two that I've also never tried just because they're usually not in the areas that I'm going to. And believe it or not, one interesting one that I came across is drive-ins. So some drive-ins will actually, if you pay for the movie and you stay for the movie, whatever movies are showing that night, sometimes they will actually let you stay that night and car camp there. You just have to check in with them. A lot of times you'd be surprised of, if you just ask different companies or different restaurants or places like drive-in movie theaters, you'd be shocked. A lot of times they'll say, hey, yeah, sure, go ahead, be out by a certain time, don't leave trash in my area. Marinas and boat ramps are also good ones to check out. I know of a few that I'm not going to say on here because I don't want them to get overrun and then I can't go back. So I'm going to keep those to myself. And of course, obvious places like Walmart's, Cracker Barrels, Bass Pro Shops, Cabela's, places like that. I think even some Dick's Sporting Goods allow you to do it. Of course, my favorite out of all those is Cracker Barrel because it's always quiet. Walmart, you kind of have to like pick and choose. Some Walmarts are absolutely fine. Others are just a poop show. And the last one is hotel parking. Now, this is also one that I have not done myself, but a lot of folks do it. The reason I don't overnight in hotel parking lots is because I'm always afraid it's going to be one of those hotels that takes down your vehicle information. And I'm afraid that if I go and park and my vehicle is not on their guest list, they're going to try to tow me in the middle of the night, or I'm going to get the knock. And when I sleep, I sleep. I don't want to get the knock. I haven't experienced it yet, and I really just don't want to because I like sleeping in my car and not being disturbed. Especially being told to move, like, no. But if you're personally comfortable with it, hey, that's another option, that is out there. So basically, there are a lot of options out there if you're not in an area that has BLM land or free Forest Service camping. We do have options out there. Like I said, sometimes it might be one of those things where it's a little bit of a sacrifice. It's like a 50-50. During the day, you get out there and you adventure and you see the sights and you explore and you just have a great time in nature. And then there's nowhere for free to camp. So you get in your car and you drive to the nearest Cracker Barrel. Or you find a spot off the side of the road that doesn't have any signs saying you can't overnight and it looks safe, and you just go ahead and make that your home for the night. Anyway, that's all I have for you all. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you want to see more content like this, I invite you over here to Dee's Roads to subscribe and come hang out. Well, thank you for watching, and I will see you all on the next one. Happy camping and safe travels.